What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
SPEAKROC, that's the team that I'm with. SPEAKROC, don't it make a lot of sense? SPEAKROC, yeah, we speak to each other. Hey, young man, be a brother to another, Put the other things aside, throw away the fakeness. All my brothers got the key to achieve greatness. Let nobody bring you down when you tryna reach the top. Let them know what you represent, tell them SPEAKROC. Let's make a change for the best. Let your voice be heard, let your words be expressed. Brothers and sisters, set a goal to the top. If anybody got your back, let them know it's SPEAKROC.
Hey, yo, Guap, that was dope. Hey, just gotta keep telling them what it is out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you already know, man.
Hey, we doing this one for the D. What up, though?
What up, though?
T, and we out here making it happen. Once again, it's your brother SPEAKROC, and today is going to be a great show. Hey, thank y'all for joining me. Thank y'all for coming in and being with your brother. Hey, look, if you haven't connected to my social media platforms, I ask that you do so. That's SPEAKROC, SPEAKROC, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the above, and we can make it happen. But look, I got my brother ET on the line, and I want to jump right into it. And I'm praying to God that, God has laid some great things on our hearts to be able to share with the people. Yo, E, what up, man?
What's up, sir? What up, though? What's going on, sir? It's a good day to be alive, man. It's a good day to be up and walking around and talking and being with you, brother. I'm blessed already just to have all that to happen.
Yes, sir, man. It's always a beautiful time to just wake up and just be alive. I mean, the fact that you can wake up and just be able to create and be able to do and be able to live out your life and prayerfully make some positive change in this life that we have. Honestly, I don't know if it gets any better, man. I don't think it gets any better than that.
No, I can't believe so, man. I mean, we can live our lives out loud, man, and live them out in front of the Lord and let the Lord be pleased. And we could try to make a positive contribution to society, in this world, man. And so we can make this play. I know. Michael Jackson says so we can make this play better, for you and me. So I think that's our assignment. I think that's our assignment with just how we walk this thing out, man. Because we really want to we don't want to leave this place worse than we had it when we were here. We want to leave it a little bit better for our children and grandchildren and their great grandchildren and all those kind of things like that, man. So that's our assignment, and I don't take it lightly. I appreciate this SPEAKROC platform, man, and that's the way we trying to handle it. So I believe to whom much is given, much is also required. So I believe this thing is required of us to leave it better than we had it.
Here you go. Already with the word early in the morning. And not only that, your segues be on point, man. Your segues be on point. And, with that being said, and I'm saying your segue is on point because, number one, you're absolutely right. This platform is built to make things better. Us with the information that God filters through us and sends through us is we are required to be able to share and to make things better for people with some knowledge and some wisdom, spiritual and practical. And also, you was just speaking about one of the the legends that God, one of the icons that had blessed us with and put on this earth for us to enjoy. And that was Michael Jackson. And today's topic is going to be not so much on the icon herself being Aretha Franklin, but want to speak on just a matter that occurred not too long ago, maybe last week. and that was Aretha Franklin's funeral. And here's the deal. It's not so much about just Aretha Franklin's funeral, but once again, we're speaking about things being better for us as people. And I believe there's some situations that occurred during Aretha Franklin's funeral that I feel it needs some clarity. And the reason I feel that way is in today's society with so much media that goes around, it's easy to look at still pictures, just photographs. It's so easy to listen to sound bites, and it's extremely easy to see video clips. And once again, just part stories. And what happens is that, everybody is left to the freedom of their own mind to have an opinion and form and have a perspective on something that we don't know the full story in. But I truly believe that, there has to be people of wise counsel. There has to be, and I just want to stick with the word wise, because I believe wisdom helps guide us through situations that we may see. And for me, I'm going to put this in context. Some of the situations that I saw that occurred in the Queen's funeral, it involved the spiritual community, and that's near and dear to my heart. And I would step out and say to you as well, there was some involvement, and I believe that without some clarification, without some wisdom being spread on how do we navigate and how do we adjust and how do we deal with matters that take place in the spiritual community, for those who are viewers, for those who saw the funeral, for those that see what goes on and the spiritual community is involved, I think if the people aren't given some good, wise advice on how to take that matter in and how to continue to go forward after you've seen something, I think it's damaging. I believe it to be damaging, and then you walk away with, with ideas that can be, that can't be fruitful to your growth and your development, especially when it comes to your growth and development of being a spiritual person. So let me mention one of the issues that I'm speaking on, and I'm going to go ahead and get you in here, E, so we can, chop it up and go back and forth. Now, let me make this disclaimer. Real talk, I didn't see the funeral. I didn't see the whole funeral. At this point, through technology, the funeral is a replay. You can not only you can get the whole funeral, and you can get the whole segment of whatever part of the funeral out of the litany of speakers that they had. You can catch everything that the speaker said, because it's not just a snippet. Now, there are snippets out there, but you can get, so if it was Michael Eric Dyson, from the time his first word that was uttered out of his mouth to the last word that was uttered, you can catch that whole thing. Okay. So with that being said, one of the issues, and typically I wouldn't even, let me be very clear. I'm not going to go in on one individual as if like I'm going to speak about that one individual, this, that, and another. But I believe it's important to talk about the actions of what's going on and not skirt around the actions, because people are involved. Okay. And I think if anybody, especially those who support the SPEAKROC platform, it's my responsibility to be able to, if I say something, I got to be able to stand on it. And if I call myself helping people out, it's my responsibility to continue to give help. So let me quickly get to it. One of the things was that we have a bishop here in the city of Detroit, Bishop Ellis, and he was the MC for the homegoing service for Aretha Franklin. And bottom line is his job is to keep things moving. From the first person that spoke to the last person that'll speak, keep things moving. So the whole program, he makes it happen. He introduces people, he welcomes people, he engages the audience, so forth, so forth. The one issue, you have a singer by the name of Ariana Grande, okay? And she's a young lady, about in her mid-20s, and she came up and she sang. Long story short, just to give them a little context, some to say she was dressed inappropriately. She had like on some kind of, I don't know, some kind of dress, and it probably showed a lot of leg, cut a little high, a lot of shoulders, whatever. Some had issue with that. Then the next thing that people had issue with is that after she got done singing, that Bishop Ellis, in his attempt to make things light, make things welcoming, show her love or what have you, he put his arm around her as in to hug her, and his arm is placed on her waist. And, then there's a lot of variables in the situation that was being brought up. She's shorter, so the placement of his hand around her waist gave this, it was perceived to be this. I mean, so much to the point where media and people, outside of the media, you're like, hey, look, bottom line, look, that's groping, and I was like, wow, okay, wow, I was just like, wow, okay, like, that's where we going with this? Like, to say that the man is groping her in front of national television and so forth and so forth. The first thing I could think about, personally, for me, first thing I thought about was just being aware of your surroundings. First thing I thought about was, no matter who you are, no matter what you're accustomed to doing, there's, you got to be cognizant of your environment and what is going on. And the second thing I thought of, well, no matter what you do, whatever you do, to be prepared to not only be prepared to justify and to stand on whatever it is that you did. And as the story went on and on and on, the people, were just saying, hey, look, this is an issue. We don't like it. Then comes the apology from Bishop Ellis. And that's when I was like, oh, so, cause quite frankly, Eric, I'm going to tell you, I wasn't even looking at speaking on this. I was like, nah, I'm not getting into that. There's nothing to talk about. I'm quite clear on how society works, how the media works. I understand spin. I understand when you look at snippets of stuff. I get all of that. So they're going to run with it and it'll be over with. But the reason why I felt compelled that I needed to speak on is because those that are in the spiritual community or in any kind of organization, but I'm going to stick just with the spiritual community. I just felt like when you do something and your heart is in the right place and you're executing spiritual principle, and I searched myself and I researched some scriptures and I bounced this off my heart and my spirit, and I was like, wow, some of the biggest things that, far as it goes to our major, person that represents us as believers in Christ is Jesus himself. He was accused of a lot of things, and all I can see that Jesus, he stood on everything he ever did. He stood on it, and it just did something to my heart to see that a man of the gospel that is in a position to bring forth an apology. And I said, you know what? there's a lot of people that have a lot of different takes on this. And I believe because of everything that I just said, I believe there needs to be some clarity from the platform of Speak Rock to address this. So, Eric, I know I went long in my opening dialogue, brother. I apologize for that. But I'm believing that, we can, help the people in this matter, because this isn't just this isn't an isolated situation. I believe this is something that's not ideal, but this is something that we've all experienced at one point or the other, and people have either been silent or we just walked around confused, and we just we don't want to address issues. And I believe that this is a time where we can be frank, we can be forthcoming, we can be respectful, and we can help at the end of the day, help the people to give them another way to look at this and how to address it and go forward. And watch this. Last thing I'm going to say, and if nothing else, to give people advice on how to go forward, especially if they find themselves in that seat of a Bishop Ellis. Go ahead, E.
Wow, man, that's you really opened it up to a did an outstanding job painting that picture for those who did not see the homegoing service or even familiar with what's going on in the media and all of that. Now, I have a lot that I believe that the Lord will how He would deal with this situation. And I just want to, I don't want to necessarily say I'm speaking for God, but out of the heart of God, I believe. And a lot that you've mentioned here, and what when we open up, we're talking about we want to live our life out loud before people. We want to live it to a point where we're kind with our lives. I mean, there's a scripture that talks about be kind with your life. And when we do that, obviously persecution will come with that. Obviously, there will be attacks from the enemy because, one, he wanted to destroy your life. He wanted to discredit your God. That you're one way and you say you're another way. That's his job. I mean, and he's good at it. That's what he does. But my issue is not with him, because that's what he does. It's how we handle the body of Christ. I'm talking about how we handle when these attacks come, right? How we handle. And what one of the things that how I try to live my life out before God out loud, to be kind with my life, is to see everything, or try to see everything from a God perspective, from a God vision, from the lens of God, right? And from the lens of God, and this should help a few people, from the lens of God is always God tries to see the best and not the worst in people. God always tried to see the best. I think Marvin Sapp was one saying he saw the best in me, because really he could have saw the worst in you. But see, what happens is we who should be the ecclesia, should be the call out people, should see the best in every situation and not the worst. Now, and the reason why I said that is because I had some dialogue with some called clergy folk, some people of the cloth. All they wanted to see was the worse in the situation. Now, so they called out Bishop Ellis about groping, and I'm thinking to myself, really, that's what you saw. That's what you saw. And if you saw that, so now it's your platform now, right, to speak on it to the point where you were there, you knew exactly what happened, and you knew the intent of this person's heart, right? So now you're judging this person's character, this person's relationship with the Lord, and this person's motives, because you've seen some still pictures, like you said, you've seen some videos, you've seen some whatever, and now you judge and jury of that situation, and there's no good thing that can come out of that situation. What I also saw is there was preconceived opinion from the people that I had conversations with. There was preconceived opinion of him anyway, right? So instead of them looking at what God could do through him at this service, they were trying to figure out what God couldn't do through him, or what God, or how can I discredit him anyway, if you understand what I'm saying. So I don't believe, because you think about it, when most of the people who talked about the groping and all this stuff of it, they were supposed to be Christians. I don't know how many that came out, you know what I'm saying, he was groping, he was doing all of this, that wasn't Christian. And it could have been, I just don't know. Then maybe I don't hang in those circles or whatever. But from the people that I, had contact with or had communication, these are supposed to be the called out ones. Now you talked about, what the singer was dressed in a program. Now that was our Christian base too. They got on that. But my point on that, if she wasn't dressed appropriately then, she won't dress appropriately when she was performing in front of the Grammy. She won't dress appropriately when she went to the mall. Either she's dressed appropriately or she's not. So, you can say that from the vantage point. But this is, how I look at it is, in the event that we, as like I said, the called out one, we need to spin it in God's perspective. Because what I saw was that how I saw this was handled. It was a way that the enemy can divide the people of God in such a way that gives God a bad name for the people who don't love God. If you can understand what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. When are we going to stand up and say, okay, what would God do in this situation, and not what we would do in this situation? And that's how I looked at it.
No, and you know what, I'm with that, and I really respect how you open as it pertains to. And then I know all, black folk, and if they haven't heard Marvin Sapp, he saw the best in me. I don't know what rock you sleep under, because, right. and that pulls on the heartstrings of black folk. Hey, look, I'm a black man. I'm around black people. I know. So for you to put it in that context of, how does God see a thing? And once again, and this might be relevant to, not might be relevant. I know this is highly relevant to the believers, those who follow Christ. This should speak to you. And one of my other, and I'm going to say it's a concern, because as you know, E, when we did this, we didn't just do this for Christian folk. We didn't do this for just anybody that's just of the faith. This is for any individual, regardless if you're of a faith or not. You listen to this platform, the information we give is for everybody. So my concern is for those that are not of the faith. Well, for both. those of the faith and those who are not, because it's easy. And I like the way you put it. One of your last statements is that, and once again, those who are not of the Christian belief, and you don't jive with everything that we say. I do my best not to use a lot of, church jargon, but, when we speak of the enemy, I make no mistake about it. We are talking about a spiritual enemy. We talking about the devil in and of itself. So, my thing is, there is a divide. There is a warfare. There is a trying to split the Christian community to say, hey, guess what? Believe this about this man, and, pull away from. And the other dangerous part of that is that for those who are not of a Christian faith, who are not strong, who are rooted into the beliefs and the teachings of Christ, what it can do if you believe what the enemy does, you will pull away. Or you will never try to attract, because the easy thing to say is, and here's the trick. See, that's exactly what we talking about. See what that preacher is doing? That's exactly what we're talking about. And this is exactly why I will never, follow Jesus Christ. This is exactly why I don't want to be around Christians. And my thing today, go ahead, brother.
I didn't mean to cut you off. And then they will go as far as to say, that's why I don't go to black churches. Now, he happened to be an African-American male, right?
Right.
Now, this is black folks saying, and this is the reason why I don't go to black churches. I'm like, dude, or do that. So let's say, for instance, this particular individual, one person, right? So it happened to be a male, so it happened to be a black man, so it happened to be a clergy, right?
Right.
Let's say, for instance, it was in his heart to grope a young girl in front of millions of people. Let's say it was in his heart to do. Maybe he thought of it the day before. And you know what? When she come up there after she sing that song, what I'm going to do, I'm going to feel her breath, right, in front of everybody. Because guess what? I got the mic at this time. So that means everybody in here watching me at the time. So I'm thinking this, and not only that, everybody in the media is watching me at this time. So I'm going to make up in my mind, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm going to grope this person in front of millions of people because I don't care, right? Let's say, for instance, that was his plan. That was his purpose. That what he set out to do, because this is exactly what people are saying he was going to do, right, or have done. Let's say, for instance, that was his motive. Guess what? That don't mean that every African-American male pastor, every African-American male, every African-American church is like him, man. Because we're all, why are you painting a broad brush after one person or one incident or one misgiving or one perceived thing that you believe? Now, there's no more good African-American pastors. There's no more good African-American churches. There's no more good African-Americans. See, that's the thing. That's the perception that the enemy wants to leave with us, to say, okay, now, and that goes beyond the cloth. That goes beyond spiritual things. That's like if it's a Caucasian. Let's say Donald Trump. Let's say the President Donald Trump says a thing.
Well, hey, Eric, let me interrupt real quick. Let me interrupt. Hold your thought.
Go ahead.
Hold your thought as on what you're getting ready to say about the president and your story and your analogy. Hold that. But what I want to do is just piggyback on what you just said.
Go ahead.
This is why it's important, Eric. And maybe from the beginning you could I'm a bold guy, Eric, but I'm still mindful that I don't want to do damage to the listening audience. And what I'm saying by that is I'm not going to skirt around this topic that we're having today, but I just felt in my spirit like, man, like this is, I gotta bring the clarity. You and I have to bring clarity, and it's going to take time. It's going to take patience, and it's going to take the wisdom of God to be able to effectively communicate our intent. But Eric, this is what I'm getting at. It takes that when you're dealing with touchy issues. Everything you just said, about, hey, that doesn't make all African-American pastors or all African-American males bad. This and another. Eric, this is what people need to hear. Here it is. In the midst, when things are going wrong, even if when I got a spiritual on it, in the midst of a storm, it takes somebody. It may not, here it is. It may not be the person who the accusations are against to bring forth clarity or understanding. It just very well may be other voices that God has blessed to say, let's slow down. Let's talk about this and watch this. Let's be able to put some words and some feelings and some spiritual wisdom to this to bring forth that clarity. Because guess what? The people are deserving of that. I can take a number of scriptures to back that up of what I just said. I mean, if you want to look at almost during the years of the time when the children of Israel, when Moses was wandering out in the wilderness, Moses going before God, talking to God about how the children of Israel are behaving themselves, how they're conducting themselves. To me, Moses going before God and God dealing with Moses was an exercise of patience. It was an exercise of love. It was an exercise of clarity. So much so to where Moses came down with the 10 Commandments. All right, I'm preaching now. So I'm preaching, man.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So this is see, this is what I was in my what we affectionately call, I was in the presence of God, not speaking with God before we went on the air, and I was just trying to fellowship with God. I'm trying to get wisdom for my life and understanding for my life, and this gonna help. What I said in that time with God, when I was in His presence, God, what I wanted God to have while I was there, I wanted to have a mirror over my head. I wanted a mirror in front of me. I wanted a mirror underneath me. I want a mirror on the sides of me and a mirror on back of me, because I want to be transparent with God. So wherever my flaws are, I want them exposed. I wish, So anyway, so I can see my flaws. So I can't hide anything from God. So this is how I want us to see this situation, right? In the reflection of a mirror, because I don't want people to leave with the impression that because one person failed, if that's the case, or one person did something wrong, if that's the case, then now everybody who looks like him or sounds like him or talks like him or walks like him is that person. This is what I want. This is what I want. Now, and I try to say this in love, no matter where I am. Like, who am I speaking with? Okay, and I said, okay, now the person that you're referring to. Okay, now suppose somebody that looked like you, talked like you, smelled like you, whatever, did something wrong, and they were in New York, and you in Virginia, and they did some wrong. They still had to be white, and they had to be 35 like you. They got to have red hair like you. They have freckles just like you. They got 2 children and a wife just like you. And they failed. They did something. They stole something. They robbed something. Let me ask it. So should I say that you gonna do it because you look like him? You got you got a wife like him and 2 children like him? No. That's that one individual who has failed. So I don't discount all white people or all Mexican or all African American churches or all Jewish synagogues because this one misgiving or this one thing that happened. That's what I was getting to go about President Trump, because he's whatever age he is and he has his opinion or whatever opinion he has and he tweets or whatever. I'm not going to discount all white males that's his age because of him. That's him. That's his life. Now let me clarify that too, because there are some African American pastors who are no good. Let me throw that out there. But let me also throw it out. There are some Caucasian pastors that are no good. Yes, let me throw them. There are some Indian or Native American pastors that are no good. There are some Jewish. We got some issues in the Vatican or in the Catholicism. There are no good. But I'm not going to discount every Catholic. I'm not going to discount every priest. I'm not going to discount every pope. I'm not going to discount every rabbi because of one person's transgression. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. And I want to make this clear. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see the best in you until you prove me wrong. Oh, man.
Speak on
it. Until you prove me wrong. I'm not going to open up just because you don't look like me and just because you seem to be, I'm African-American and you Caucasian and you Republican, that I'm going to look at you any differently. I'm going to look at the best in you. I'm going to see the good in you before I see the bad in you. And the only reason I'm going to see the bad in you if you show it to me. I ain't going to go looking for it. See, that's what I did not like about this situation. You went looking for the bad in something instead of looking for the good in something. Now, the funny thing I was thinking, and you tweeted something about getting us in a situation that we have to apologize and all that kind of stuff like that. But my point is, when is that's ridiculous enough? Man, I wish I had two people that understood. I can understand that's an apology that may have needed to be have expended. Maybe I needed to apologize to the lady, because not only am I in this situation, now she's in this situation. People have put her in this situation. Maybe I needed to off camera apologize to her or whatever. But if it was not in my heart to do that, and I recognize that I didn't do what y'all perceiving me to do, sometimes that's ridiculous is enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because sometimes when we apologize, then that person that didn't that put you out there as judge and jury not going to accept your apology anyway, because they believe you did it anyway.
Right.
Now my point is, if you get indignant with who you are, sometimes that's ridiculous, and let's go on to the next question. You follow what I'm saying? I'm good with that.
Wow.
I'm good with that. But sometimes I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because sometimes Jesus turned around and said, "Where are thine accusers? Is there anybody here? Whoever without sin, you cast the first stone." I'm giving you my permission to throw a rock at this woman that you said you caught in adultery. Now he said you caught her in the very act. You caught her you saw her sleeping with another man in the very act.
Right.
But I want to turn this thing to you. I want to put this mirror in your face. Okay, you saw her do that. Okay, and you supposed to have saw him squeeze this little girl's breast or whatever. Okay, but I want to turn this mirror on you. That's without sin among you. See, he had to. He didn't say he did without sin, because if he would have just said that, then Jesus would have had to pick up a rock and stone the person. But he said, "See without sin among you, you cast that first stone." You go ahead and tweet that about Bishop Ellis. You go ahead and write it in the paper. You go ahead and defame his family, defame his ministry, because you are without sin. You are beyond reproach. You are perfect. because you already know the intent of a man's heart. So I mean once we get to this point, like you said, we don't have all of our listeners are not Christians, quote unquote Christians, but you don't have to be a Christian to do unto others as you will have them do unto you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be a Christian to love thy neighbor as you love yourself. You don't have to be a Christian to want to see the good in somebody and not the bad in somebody. You can just be a good person. But see, what happens is we get this judgmental, Pharisaic attitude, and for some strange reason, and I think it goes all back to slavery and crab in a bucket mentality. If I got to bring you down so I can be elevated, so I can feel good about myself, so I can look at myself in the mirror. You see, they ain't asked me to do it. See, if they would have asked me to do it, I wouldn't have touched it. I wouldn't hit. Now we get this self-righteous attitude. I wouldn't even have hugged her. What? I wouldn't even put myself in this situation. What? You hear what I'm saying? Now you're so self-righteous, because now you that what they call it, that Monday morning quarterback or that Monday morning coach. But now you just saw the thing work out. You just saw the thing, and now you would have done it differently. You may would have done it differently. But the key is how differently are you seeing that situation? Are you seeing it from God's perspective, or are you seeing it from the arm of the flesh?
Now let me jump in there, Eric. Let me jump in there.
Go ahead.
Because
jump right in.
That is what you just said is very telling, because this is where clarity comes in. This is where perspective, and I believe we're right on the cusp, and I feel we're heavily integrated about teaching the people. Now, here are my thoughts, and I like what you're saying because it's challenging. I'm paraphrasing. You stated you can be sitting in the seat of the Monday morning quarterback, looking back at it with a self-righteous view of saying what I wouldn't have done, or how I would not have conducted myself in that manner. Now, let me say this, just on the flip side of that coin. I believe wisdom, okay? I believe experience can have a man or a woman move differently. Now, taking away the self-righteous part, and I'm sticking with wisdom. I'm just going to use myself as an example. I'm going to use myself. Throughout my years of living, throughout my the different occupations that I've had, throughout being part of social organizations, or being part of the church, I've been groomed, I've been taught, I've been educated on how to properly interact with the opposite sex. Okay. Not only just with the opposite sex, as it pertains to dealing with youth. Now, some can say, well, you know what, you're operating, or you're talking in that space of it's flirting with the self-righteous part. And I would just I would give some pushback on that, because what I'm saying is, once again, wisdom and experience has molded me on how to be conscious of my surroundings. So what I'm saying, using me as an example, I've had a situation in one of my occupations where I had to deal with a lot of young people. I've had to deal with people of the opposite sex, and my environment, my occupation, there was rules and stipulations and guidelines on how you must conduct yourself as a professional. And as I bought into those guidelines and those regulations, to me, they made all the sense in the world. Now, even though you had the guidelines and the regulations, you always had your own personal thoughts about how you was going to conduct yourself every day when you woke up. And you had to ask yourself, in any situation, how am I going to conduct myself? And the way I used to operate is, or the way I still operate to this day, whatever I do, I'm going to stand on it. And let me backtrack a little bit on the other thing that you had mentioned, because I feel that's a very great point. Because I believe you highlighted something that I said earlier when I was talking about when Jesus many a times was caught in situations. You chose to do the one with the woman in adultery. We can go even further and we can talk about Jesus with the woman at the well. We can talk about Jesus having dinner with tax collectors. We can talk Jesus being close to, back then in biblical times, when he was in close proximity to the lepers, okay? Laying hands on them and seeing them healed. I mean, at that time, lepers were supposed to be nowhere near what was considered to be the healthy, normal body of people. So my point is, Jesus was in many a times. We can use the one when the people try to accuse Jesus of doing good works on the day of the Sabbath. And Jesus had to ball them up and talk to them, don't y'all loose y'all ox ass on this day? So if you can do that, you can do a good work. Jesus had to ball people up and let them know, like, I stand on what I did. I stand on what I'm doing. Because I know this is ministry within my heart of hearts. This is the right thing to do towards people. And this is the interaction. Grace and mercy, it should abound in these situations. So all I'm saying is, every day I believe we should be accountable for what it is that we do. There should be a guiding, there should be a guide of wisdom that should accompany us and how we conduct ourselves. And when truth be told, and I got to be candid, I'm going to be dead honest with you. This is nothing against Bishop Ellis. This is just for men across the board. And let me say it like this. I made a post also on social media. And yeah, it could be a little bold, but I wanted to catch people. The post said, I took a quote from Draymond Green. I said, they don't love you like that. You thought you was Kobe, end quote. That was Draymond. So like, people probably thinking like, where is he going with this? Then I made my own statement. I said, these are words to live by. Situational awareness will govern you on keeping your hands to yourself. And what I'm saying when I say that is, none of us are beyond reproach. What I mean by that is this. Once again, wisdom and situational awareness will have you mindful of when you're in that moment to how to conduct yourself properly. And here's the thing. If you do a thing in this situation, I'm just going to speak from SPEAKROC. I'm not saying the brother was wrong, but all I'm saying is this. If I put my hand around this young lady, guess what? How I did it. I put my hand around this young lady with the love of God. My intent was not ill. I meant nothing about it other than love. The love of God is prominent in this situation. It was welcoming, and whatever else I got to say to express the seat that I sit in my position, in the godly position. I would have stood on that all day, every day, twice on Sunday. And you know what? It goes back to what you said. If they're going to be naysayers, they're going to be naysayers. They're going to be detractors. They're going to be detractors. If they're going to be non-believers, they're going to be non-believers. But I'm going to stand on it. And that goes back to what I said. Those people, they don't love you like that. So don't expect that, that they may change, but if they don't, oh well. But guess what? Everybody else who is following, who is looking, who is saying, you know what? Because here's the deal. To me, this is just my opinion. To me, that right there, what happened, Ariana Grande, Bishop Ellis, as far as I'm concerned, that was a grand opportunity for ministry. Hey, guess what? This happened. The world don't like it. Whatever the case may be. But far as the way I operate in God, this is what we do. And if I'm to be slandered for that, y'all go ahead and handle y'all business. And I'm not bagging off of it, because here's the thing. If we can back off of something like that, I hate to see when some serious spiritual issues that come against the church as a whole, which that's happening. You'll bag off and apologize for that. So look, do what you want in your spirit. Do what you feel you need to do. But as I researched my heart and I searched the scriptures, I was like, ooh, I don't see in either of them situations. And Jesus was caught with a prostitute. I don't see in either of those situations where Jesus backed up. Like, I apologize for y'all feeling the way y'all feel, but guess what? There's ministry happening over here. And, Jesus stood before Pontius Pilate, knowing what was coming down the pipe. He ain't back up off of it. So I hope I didn't go too long, but I think there has to be a perspective. And watch this, the last thing I'm going to say. This kind of perspective, it is a hard stand. It is. And I can understand if everybody's not comfortable with that kind of a harder stand. Everybody ain't ready to have a Pontius Pilate moment where they can stand and not back up off of what they say. That's real talk. I know everybody's not built like that, but there has to be an example. There has to be somebody who, the Bible says when they've done all, stand. Now, unless you felt you was wrong, I guess you can apologize, do your thing. But I can't see apologizing for, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I said the ridiculous thing earlier. I said the ridiculous thing. I think it was ridiculous. Like I said, because she was involved, I might would have done something secretly to her or whatever. Not secretly to her or whatever. But
right.
But I don't.
It would have just been a personal conversation amongst your party. So you the pastor, you the bishop, you and your people with her and her people. Right. And those are the only people who have been involved.
Right, and because that other thing, because just like you said, people want to see what they want to see. Because think about it, if he did not embrace her in any kind of way, then guess what? Somebody would
they would have talked about him then.
They would have talked about that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? They would have talked about that. They talked about Jesus hanging out with the sinners and prostitutes and all that. They would have talked about that.
Right.
So we get that. The point is, how do we handle it as Christians? Or how should we handle it as people of faith? How do we bridge the gap between the ridiculous and those who supposed to be of like mind? See what I heard a snippet of what he said. He said because the service was so long, he was trying to make light of it. Falling, not necessarily with the hug, but he must have said some kind of comment about her name or something like that.
Let me fill that in, E, because if we went this far with our dialogue, we can take a little bit of time to put it in context. Now,
okay, got
it. What he said was, and I'm paraphrasing. Don't quote me word for word. But he said, I must be a little older, or my daughter is, she's kind of joking me because I'm a little older, because when I saw your name on the program, Miss Ariana Grande, he said, I thought that was something new at Taco Bell. I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, bruh, E. I'm gonna be dead honest. I'm gonna be dead honest with you, E. I get it. I get that you're trying to keep the program moving. Brother, in this day and age where black men are being killed.
That was a lack of wisdom, because that was inappropriate in every area.
Eric, can you imagine if somebody would have made some kind of light type joke like that about a black man like Abdul?
Right.
Devontae something.
I thought y'all was serving bean pies and the repast, that kind of stuff like that.
Come on, man.
I don't know where he was going with that, but yeah, I don't know where he was going with that. That I don't know. I don't know what that, because that wasn't even necessarily even funny for that setting or any setting.
Any setting.
I don't know how, because. I know God didn't give him that one, so
you said I know the Lord didn't give him that one.
No, Lord ain't give him that one. I tend to try to, lighten the move up when I'm ministering too, but generally the Lord give me what I'm supposed to say. I just can't believe that the Lord would have gave him that one. So, but then again, he had a human moment there. You know what I'm saying? And we all human. I'm not gonna say the Lord can't use him from this day forward, because he.
Can you say that again, Eric? I like that. Can you say that one more time? We had a what?
Yeah, human moment.
A human moment.
And we all do. We all do have human moments. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and some of those mistakes are not intentional. See, this is what we're trying to get to our SPEAKROC Nation is everything that we do. And if we mess up and it don't fit your mode, it don't fit like you believe that a Christian should be, or it don't fit like you as a business leader, or you as an African American, or you as a male, or you as a heterosexual should be, that don't mean we had an intent in our heart to be malicious to do damage to something.
Right.
We may have just had a human moment.
Right.
Right? And we failed. See, the thing about it, if you haven't failed in anything, then you don't understand what we're talking about.
Ooh, oh my, Eric.
I could get how you can perceive this situation as the worst situation in the world.
Wow.
I can see how you can just throw away every church, every black person, every white person, every Mexican person, every heterosexual, every business person, every president. I can see that. Because you never failed at anything. You never had a human moment. You never needed to say you were sorry. You never needed to repent. You never needed to you had no reason to ask for forgiveness. Because you're so perfect. I get it. He did grope in your eyes. He did do something inappropriate in your eyes. I get it, because you're so perfect. But for those like myself, like I said, I was in the presence of God, and I wanted God to have mirrors all around me, because it wasn't about you at that time. It wasn't about your perfect self. It was about my imperfection. It was about I don't have it all together. So, God, I'm coming to you so I can get it together, so I can see the best in people and not the worst. So I can't just have a broad brush and say every Hispanic is bad, or every or every lesbian is bad, if you're catching that, or every gay person is bad, or whatever, or so I can't be that judge and jury of people who's not like me, or who has failed at something. And now everybody that looks like them, talk like them, think like them, smell like them, living in the same neighborhood has failed. The only thing I want to, if this gonna help somebody, the only broad brush I want to paint from this section is if when one mourns, I believe we all should mourn, and when one rejoices, I believe we all should rejoice. You know what I'm saying? Because I am my brother's keeper. I'm not my brother's judger. I'm not my brother's pointing your faults out. Now, I believe we should correct in love, tell the truth in love, share the Bible in love, help our brother, and admonish and stuff like that. But I don't believe it's my job to show you your flaws and broadcast them to the world. I don't think Jesus would do that.
Now, Eric, let me say this, bro. Let me say this, because I love where you're going. I mean, it's helping me. I'm just sitting here listening, but I'm like, man, I got to say one more other thing, but I want Eric to take us out. but let me say this, man, and I will be wrong if I don't say it. One of the things I love about the relationship that you and I have, and I trust in you to do this for me. And I think this is hard for a lot of leaders. And when you notice I said leaders, I didn't say male leaders. I didn't say female leaders. I said leaders.
Right.
I think this is hard for a lot of leaders, man. To have relationships for people who can either grab you by the collar, grab you by the arm, give you a phone call, no matter what time of day, and say, bruh, sis, let me speak to you. Follow me as I say this, y'all. I truly believe, I believe this. I believe you need to have that person or persons in your life. Sometimes you do need to be protected from yourself because, as you said, Eric, we have human moments. I understand letting things play out. I understand better than most, all things work together to the good for them who love the Lord and called according to his purpose. I don't say that scripture just lightly. I'm not, just making fun of it. No, not at all. I truly believe it. But I believe that we are holistic followers of Christ, where we use the whole word. We use all of it. We just don't take one part of the word, or we don't take just the Beatitudes, or we don't take the 10 Commandments. We don't just take and forego the rest. Even Jesus said he's come to be the fulfillment of the word. And everybody was talking to him about, the Mosaic law, hey, guess what? I'm the fulfillment of that. Grace and mercy is what y'all fail to understand. So let me explain this to you. In addition to what I'm saying is that it's nice, man, to have, even in that moment, if it's a situation where I am being an MC and I'm hugging people, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that this is what should have happened. Like, this person needs to be positioned, like, to stop you right then and there. But it's nice to have somebody who can come to you and say, hey, look, I understand ministry, but that's not a good look. I know some people might be disagreeing with me right there, but I'm going to be honest with you. I did it once before. A church I was going to, this pastor was counseling a female, and his door was closed. And I get it. I understand ministry got to go forward, right? I get it. I told him to his face. I said, bro, that ain't a good look. I say, nothing's never a problem until it becomes a problem. Do you want to, do you want to answer for that? And are you going to stand? That's my thing. If you doing it and you doing what's right and you going to stand and you going to say, hey, look, I was doing what was right. I'll do it now and I'll do it again. I'll do it tomorrow. Matter of fact, I got one I'm going to do this evening. Like if you going to stand like that, all right, man, God be with you. Let's do this. Got it. But if you're going to waffle later and talking about what I shouldn't have did and maybe that wasn't the best, and blah, blah, man, look, stop it. Either God got power and you believe in ministry and you believe in God's word, or you really did because you really were concerned with how the world perceives things. So all I'm saying is it's nice to have somebody to be a voice of wisdom in your ear, even when moments when God is quiet, to have somebody to say, hey, look, just as a check and balance, man, let me throw this at you. And I believe, and I feel it's so important to say this, because once again, Eric, I'm tying this into what you said. We're human and we have human moments. And guess what? To all our listening audience and everybody who listens to this, I can pretty much guarantee that there's a great percentage of us that don't have that kind of person in our life that can come to us and say, hey, look, might want to consider this. You may want to think about this. Because I love you, I'm telling you this. So I believe a lot of what we deal with when it comes from pressures from the world, and that's why I made that post that I made on Twitter and on Facebook saying, how is it that black men are finding themselves in positions where society is pressuring them to apologize? It's a question. I want to know. What are you doing to find yourself in a position where society is pressuring you to apologize? What that lets me know is that you didn't count the cost, that you didn't look holistically at this situation and say, for better or for worse, I'm going to stand. I'm going to make my decision and I stand with it. And that's what it is. But if society get a hold of you and you feel like you got to throw out an apology, I'm going to say this, and E, I want you to take us out. I believe that everyone that's listening to us, this is instrumental to their growth and their development to say, yeah, I better count the cost. When I better understand what lies before me when I make this decision. And watch this, especially for the believers, for the followers of Christ. You know how many things that we do on a day-to-day basis, Eric? You know the life that we live is not loved by many. And in spite of how the world feels about us, we stand anyway. I think that's my whole point that I'm getting at today. And quite frankly, I'm going to say this too. Watch this. It's not going to get any better, y'all. The scriptures don't even say it's like it's going to happen. There's going to be a persecution of the believer because you believe and you stand and you exercise the teachings of Christ. It's not, the world is not going to get better to believe in you and be like, oh, we see your point. I see where you're coming from. The people who are dogmatic about, no, we don't like that. We don't like what Christ exemplifies. We don't like the fact that y'all are believers and followers. So guess what? Now we're coming at you in the worst way. So much so to the point, and you know this better than most, Eric, that it could possibly cost you your life. That's what I'm getting at. Because if they ain't took nothing else from SPEAKROC, yeah, we may talk about practical things. We just very well have, me and my brother E have a good time. We laugh and we joke. But if y'all don't get nothing else, E and I, we do not waffle. We do not make any apologies for our faith, for being followers of Christ, for being redeemed, for being born again. No, I'm not going to do it. I know, I sure well know Eric's not going to do it. We're not going to do it. But guess what? By us taking our strong stance, one thing that you've never heard Eric and I do, we don't condemn you if you don't believe like us. We don't condemn you. We don't damn you to a position where we're not welcoming you into our world. That's all I got, E.
Well, man, that's special. That's a whole lot of special there, man. I don't even know how to come back from all of that. That's real special. I'm just kind of thinking, what side is God on as it relates to this argument? That's the thing about it, or this discussion, or this. That's the side we need to be on. You know, you said the thing about apology. Now, okay, are you apologizing because you're trying to win some? I get that. I want you to continue to apologize because you're trying to win some, or are you apologizing, or you trying to save face? That's where I need to know where you are, because we don't apologize for the kingdom. We don't make apologize for the word of God, the presence of God, the purpose of God, the stand of God. You talked a lot about standing. Yes, that's what we do. That's what we do. That because obviously he must have done something well. Let me tell you, I don't know. I didn't watch the 6 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or what. Obviously, he must have done something well for persecution to come, right? Because if he was just status quo, if he was just going along with the service or whatever, then there was no need for the enemy to jump in. No matter what side the enemy jumped in on, whether it jumped in on the Christian community side or the side that was not good. For some reason, he done something well. Because what promotion comes persecution. So obviously that's the stand. Now the thing about it, you talked a lot about having this certain level of stance going in, right?
Right.
And I get that. You talked about the pastor counseling the female, and I get that. And the thing about it is, really, to tell you the truth, if you are who you are, you could do that, right? But there's a real enemy that will exploit that situation. I believe Jesus could do it. I believe we saw him do it. You know, Jesus said, he's a miracle, like, hey, Jesus, don't you know all this work needs to be done? But the other one, I don't know, who was either Mary or Martha, was at his feet listening to him. He was like, look, we got time to do all of that. The best thing to do. And that's to hang around me. He ain't said because there ain't no men around. But this gonna seem odd. People gonna talk about me. People gonna do all of that. We get that, But because that's what's in your heart. And my whole thing was, Bishop, if it weren't in your heart, if you didn't have the intent, if you know you stood up for righteousness at that very moment, that was a God moment that you had encountered. You hugged the lady, because that's what you do, huh? Don't shrink back to perdition. Don't cow down to these naysayers, because they gonna come at you anyway. Obviously, you've done something well, in my opinion, because this persecution came. Brother Rock, man, you right there. You in it. We about the kingdom, advancing the kingdom. And when you about advancing the kingdom, persecution is gonna come. It's gonna come. It's gonna come, whether you want it to or not. We on this field, man, and we ain't gonna judge. We're not here to judge you. We're here to love up on it. And if we recognize that love never fails. Now, if we get in the point where we're doing more judging, more pointing the fingers, more criticizing, more ostracizing, more singling out, more pointing out than loving, then we need to recognize what side of the team we on. What side of the stance we're on. What stance are you really taking if you're not taking the stance of love? Because love suffers long. Love don't keep no record of wrong. I ain't gonna keep telling you over and over, you did this, you touched your breast. Love don't keep no record of wrong. Bro, forgive me and go on. Man, this is what we're about to speak rock. We not in the judging. We in the enlightening you, helping you. Help us walk this thing out with you. If you know a better way to do it, tell us. We want to walk this thing out with you. Wow, we want to go hand in hand with you. We don't have all that. And, he's from Detroit. What do you know? Hallelujah. Glory to God. Yeah. This is what we want to leave you with. Judge not unless you're ready to be judged. That's it. That's what we want to judge not unless you're ready to be judged. You judge on how much you love somebody. My goodness, I'm ready to be judged on. My hand is up in the air. I want to be judged on how much I love somebody, how much I forgave somebody, how much I saw the best in somebody, how much I wanted the best for somebody. Remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about do better. Don't just do what was required. Do better. If we can do better, we can just do better, love better, forgive better, give more better, man. And I think that the Speak Rock platform has done its job. If you get that, if you can go tomorrow to church, or tomorrow to your club, or tomorrow to dinner, tomorrow to your family's house, and go with the idea, I'm gonna love better, do better, give better, forgive better. I believe we've done our job. Speak Rock form has done its job. That's all I got, man. I ain't got nothing else.
No, man. Look, I think, not that I think, I know, we really exercised this one. We really, and I've said this before, if you care about something, you take your time with it. And I pray that, the listening audience get that out of us. We didn't come off half-cocked and just shot off opinions. And I think that was the thing that was troubling my heart, that we just shot off. There's people who just shoot off opinions, and I believe there's casualties, and the casualties are the people who are on the line or on the fence in some kind of way. Be it the people who are like, look, I'm about to go join the church next week, or people who just who are failing to have faith in faith in the love of people. Let me put it that way. Not so much just faith in people, because every time we talk about believing in people, we think about the emotional. We think about the actions of people versus the virtue and the love that people possess. Believe it or not, that's what I believe. I believe that we all have the capacity. We have the ability to love, and with that ability, our capacity can grow, and we can be better people through the operation of love. But I like the way you said it, man. You said you dropped a lot of jewels, man. As far as us being human, as far as us having human moments and so forth and so forth. So, I'm glad we took our time. I'm glad you allowed God to use you, man, to bring forth the energy and the wisdom and the insight. And I didn't even know that you were speaking to other brothers and sisters of the faith who had thoughts on this. And quite frankly, I believe that we did the wise thing. I'm not gonna say we caught it up and down the middle. I'm not gonna say we was being fair, but I like the way you looked at, like, we want to be on the side of God. How is God looking at this thing? And I pray to God that people can have some takeaways from this, and they can say, you know what, I didn't even see it that way. I didn't even look at it like that. You know what? Let me pray to God to get, God, let me see people through your eyes. Or God, you know what? Let me pray for a partnership of people who can help me bring some perspective on the next thing that I'm getting ready to do. God, strengthen my heart to be able to withstand the onslaught of criticism or belittling that may come from the mass public, because I'm standing for you. Strengthen me, God, be with me. To me, I think there's a lot of jewels. If people really listen to this, there's a lot of things that can, here's the other key thing that you said. God, deal with me. Put mirrors around me so that I won't be judgmental. Show me so I can be better towards other people, because God, I see that I'm a flaw. I see it that I'm in error and I'm not 100% together. So therefore, you're going to silence my mouth before I start getting on anybody. Not just only with my mouth, but my mind too. Because even Jesus said, hey, guess what? Your thoughts. I know your thoughts. I know what you're doing. You ain't say it, but I know what you're thinking. So my point is, man, Eric, thank you, man. God bless you, man.
Praise God. It's a pleasure, man. I think this is, I always say this is a hallmark. I think it's another hallmark message. I think if they really listen to it and rewind it and play it over and over and over, let it get it down in their spirit, whether they're Christian or not. I mean,
absolutely,
it's just a thing that God will have us to be in the way we should act towards our brother and our sister. They are my brother. They are my sister. They might not be acting like it, but my biological brothers sometimes don't act like it. So. There you go.
There we go. Hey, y'all. Hey, we appreciate you. Me and my brother E on the Speak Rock Show. Hey, it's been a blessing. Hey, always understand, I'm a brother from Detroit. What do I know? Hey, get connected. Speak Rock is on the rise. We doing big things. It's coming near you. Hey, I'm just professing that. And I just thank you, man. Today I feel good, and it's all a blessing. E, see you next week, brother.
Next week, sir.
Yes, sir. God bless. We out. Peace.
God bless. Peace.